Undocumented immigrants in this country pay more in taxes than many large corporations do. Tax cuts on yachts and private jets and billionaires whose lives are saved by the NIH's work do not think that this is wasteful.
We've got a couple clips of AOC sounding off on the MAGA robber barons trying to steal our government and your grandparents' healthcare and benefits, gut our crucial agencies and more, all to afford their rich guy tax cuts. So be sure to like this video. It helps us out a ton. Subscribe if you haven't already, and strap in because we'll be back with the very much needed context.
One would think that the so-called cost savings from certain wasteful cuts would be reinvested in Medicaid. However, that is not what the committee is proposing. They are proposing that we have cuts to these essential programs in order to pay for Elon Musk's tax breaks. The order has come down to this committee. Find $880 billion. Find it for what? To pay for a tax cut bill that benefits tax cuts on yachts and private jets and billionaires and mega corporations, while secretaries and working class people pay higher effective tax rates than Facebook does. Undocumented immigrants in this country pay more in taxes than many large corporations do.
Exactly. If we're just cutting waste to help and strengthen these programs, the idea would clearly be to reinvest what was being used on waste to what was effective to be sure the money is going to the right place. Instead, they're robbing them from these programs, using them to fund the tax cuts for corporations, many of whom already pay zero in taxes, like Tesla, which did both in 2022 and 2024, despite making billions of dollars, only paying 1.5% when they did pay federal taxes in 2023. And the same can be said for numerous other corporations as well. But Trump wants to steal from the poor to give them more tax breaks, more socialism for the rich. Meanwhile, undocumented immigrants who they want to benefit, or they demonize as, benefiting from the system and mooching off our programs, pay billions in the social programs, on average paying $9,000 in 2022, meaning every undocumented immigrant averaged more federal taxes paid than Elon Musk through Tesla.
For millions of people across this country whose child has a rare disease, whose parent is on death's door, who they themselves have no recourse for treatment, research, clinical trials are one of the only options they have to extend their life. My dad was admitted to that trial, and his cancer went into remission for a brief period. We got 2 to 3 more years with my dad before he eventually passed away. And I can tell you that 2 more years with my dad, 3 more years that a person has with their child, or a lifetime for some people whose lives are saved by the NIH's work, do not think that this is wasteful.
If AOC can be personal, then so can I. When I was 8, my dad was also diagnosed with cancer. However, unlike AOC, my dad wasn't lucky enough to get into a trial like the one she is speaking of. We lost him rather quickly as doctor after doctor told us there was essentially nothing we could do, like there was not many options. I would give anything for the chance to have had him in an experimental trial that could have given us 2 or 3 extra years. I think anyone in that situation would. Those calling the medical research that enables miracles just like that waste speak from a position of privilege of having enough money in the world to throw at disease. But for those of us who could be bankrupt caring for a family member, who don't have more to afford than the generic doctors who can tell us they're limited in what they can do, and we just, we can't go state by state until we find a doctor with this experimental cure or what it may be. And that is why we understand the necessity in keeping things like the NIH well-funded and able to do real research that saves real lives.
The actual renaming of this gives the whole game away. The renaming of a digital service to quote-unquote government efficiency really tells the whole story of what is going on here. The United States Digital Service has never, in its history, been a participant in one of the largest data breaches in American history. The U.S. Digital Service has never been responsible for firing the Park Service officials en masse and then scrambling to reverse it. The United States Digital Service has never compromised the security of our nuclear supply. So I do want to know where the authority is, because there was never any standing authority for the United States Digital Service to be rating every sensitive government official. Did they have access to some system? Sure, maybe, I don't know, a Squarespace. Not the nuclear supply of the United States of America.
This is in response to the latest play for Doge getting its legitimacy with their contests in court by pretending they're just the USDS that they've renamed, which is a lesser known agency with a similar goal to Doge in sorts of ridding waste, but they do so by just bringing technology up to date to save money that way by not having out-of-date systems where they've never had access like Doge is looking for, never had the ability to slash funding or things like that. It's just blatantly unconstitutional. So this idea that, oh, it's just normal USDS dealings and we renamed it, it's just another thing to the fact that they know most people don't understand government. So if you start getting really specific and with the nuances and in the weeds, they'll just go along with it. Unelected bureaucrats, the richest man in the world at that, without congressional approval, without oversight, background check, financial vetting, anything, has no power over this kind of sensitive information. It's unconstitutional for the executive to grant them that kind of power. I mean, nuclear codes, data, there's clear conflicts of interest. We've reported now SpaceX would be contracted to help the FAA with flight safety. Maybe the gutting of FAA leading to these crashes was purposeful. Like, who knows? This is the problem when you take someone so clearly immoral, clearly driven by money, and you place him in a position of power with a clear conflict of interest. Then you keep him there after he's verifiably lied multiple times. I mean, it just calls into question the motives of every single thing.